Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Susie and I love to share with you guys my vintage booth. I love to do thrift store shopping and thrift flips and sell the items in my booth, and I like to show you guys how I do that. If that's the kind of content you liked, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. Now let's get on to today's projects. One thing you can always find plenty of at the thrift stores are these silver plated trays. You can also get them at the Dollar Tree. This one was pretty large, and that was the reason that I picked it up. I think I paid $2 for it. I also love to paint silver and distress back and show that. Don't forget, first thing you got to do when you're doing any thrift flips is clean your project really well. I am using 2 coats of Fusion mineral paint in the color Casement, which is just a bright white, to cover this tray before moving on to the next step. This is Roycycled Decoupage Paper Fall Farm. This is from last year. It has this really cute truck with pumpkins. It's also got a barn and some other fall things. So I'm going to cut this out to fit the inside of the tray perfectly. I just used my finger to make an indentation where I need to cut, and then I'm going to cut it out and decoupage it onto the bottom of this tray. I'm using Fusion Decoupage Transfer Gel, and I'm just going to do a little starter strip, wet the back of my decoupage paper. That just kind of lets the fibers of the paper stretch out and prevents any wrinkles or anything. I'm using a flatter brush here, and I have noticed that it does work better than the foam brush that I have previously been using. It's a little bit stronger, so it pushes out the wrinkles. And then I'm just going to continue on doing small strips at a time, wetting the back of my paper and smoothing out the wrinkles. And then I'll go over the top with a really good coat of this transfer gel. Tray is dry now and it's already looking pretty cute, but I want to give it just one more detail that's going to bring it up a notch. This is the color Mist, and I thought that it was a perfect match with the sky. It's kind of a purplish blue color, so I'm just going to dry brush around all the edges of the tray just to highlight all of those little details, and then I'm going to frame around the picture of the truck, and I think it just really brought this tray up. And you could glue a sawtooth hanger onto the back of this, or you could just use it as a shelf sitter on the back of a shelf. I have got it in a easel here, and I think this is absolutely beautiful. This will be on my website, available for you guys to buy. It is susieonthefarm.com. For project number 2, I found these gorgeous wooden bookends that I think they might have been handmade. The wood was really nice. They were in really good shape, and I thought that they would be a perfect candidate for some chippy milk paint. So I'm going to give them a really good cleaning using my crud cutter. I'm going to let them dry, and then I'm going to mix up the milk paint. I'm using Fusion milk paint in the color London Fog. I love this color milk paint. It is my favorite so far. With the milk paint, you just mix it half and half. So I'm going to do 2 scoops of paint and 2 scoops of water, and I'm going to mix it up really well, and then I let it sit for maybe 30 minutes while I did a few more things just to let it thicken up. Look how pretty this color is, and it literally goes on like milk. Painting with milk paint is so fun. It's so easy. You just slap it on there. I'm using the number 14 pointed sash by Stallmaster. This is my favorite little detail brush, and it makes really quick work of these bookends. I did probably about 2.5 coats on these. Milk paint is very transparent, so if you want full coverage, you're going to have to do several coats. These probably could have stood another one, but I didn't really want full coverage. I really want these to look old and primitive and really distressed. After applying the second coat, I am going to use my heat gun to speed up the drying process. I'm hoping to get some cracking and some chipping, but as milk paint often is, it's very unpredictable. So I didn't really get much on this. So I'm just going to take my finger sander with some 220 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to heavily distress all the edges and all of even the flat surfaces on these bookends, just to make them look really worn, like this paint has been on here for a century. And then finally, you do have to seal milk paint, so I'm going to wipe all the dust off of these, and I'm going to seal them with some Fusion clear wax. Y'all, I'm obsessed with this milk paint and the texture that it creates, and it's just so warm and soft. And the great thing about these bookends is there's that flat surface, so you could put floral on there, you could put a jar. I have chosen to put these little brass birds that are so cute, and I do have another set of these available on the website if you guys are interested. This owl book in probably 2 years ago. It's extremely heavy, and I have never liked the marble look on it. There was only one. So I set it up on my mantle and kind of forgot about it, and I happened to see it the other day, and I'm like, I'm going to give this owl a makeover. So I took it outside, and I gave it one good coat of a black spray paint. I think this is Rust-Oleum in a flat black. And then I'm going to do a new technique that I have not done yet. This is, Fusion has metallic paints, and this is the copper metallic paint. And I saw Jamie Ray Vintage do this on a Jesus statue, and it turned out so gorgeous. And right away, I was like, I'm going to do that to that owl. So I gave it 2 coats of the copper metallic paint using a pointed sash brush. Like I said, this is my favorite Stallmaster brush, and I do have brushes available on the website as well. And once the 2 coats of paint have dried, we're going to come back and give it some dark wax just to highlight all those little indentions on the owl and kind of tone back the metallic just a little bit. And y'all, this owl turned out so absolutely gorgeous now. He's going right back on my mantle. He's too heavy to ship, and I'm a little bit attached to him now. our next project, I picked up this pair of candlesticks. I like the silver on them, but there was some damage on the maroon color there that I thought that I could find a way to hide. Other than that, they were in good condition. I took them outside and gave them a coat of black spray paint. That way, when I distress over that maroon, the black would come back instead of that color. And I gave them 2 coats of the Casement Fusion Mineral Paint with the pointed sash brush. Once the paint had dried, I took my sander and I sanded all the edges, bringing back a lot of that black as well as some of the silver underneath. Once I finished distressing, I decided that they still needed a little something, and I had a few scraps left over from the Roycycled Decoupage Grunge Numbers papers. So I decided just to decoupage strips of that paper over the part that was maroon originally. So I am using the Fusion Decoupage Transfer Gel and using the same technique with my brush and doing a starter strip and then completely decoupaging this onto each side. And I did opposite sides here. I let it dry. I did all 4 sides of the candlesticks, but I did 2 at a time, let them dry, and then once they were completely dry, I took my finger sander and sanded off the edges. This just gave them a really good distressed look and also hid any imperfections in the decoupage. Very important that you wait until your paper is completely dry before you do this step. Otherwise, you will tear your decoupage paper. But if you wait till it's dry, it comes off very easy. So I just did these 2 sides, and then I went ahead and decoupaged the other 2 sides of each candlestick. I be sure and gave them another good coat of the transfer gel to seal up the decoupage paper, and now these candlesticks look so much better and so high-end and distressed. I have one more simple project for you today. I've had this little cutting board tray for a while. It's been in my china cabinet, kind of being used as a riser. I love the color of the wood, and I want to make a pocket out of it. So I also had this scrap piece of drop cloth. I'm just cutting off the excess, and I'm going to keep the finished seam there on it. I've done this before many times. This is the first time that I've actually done it onto a cutting board, but I love the shape of this one and I thought it would be gorgeous. So I am just going to staple the drop cloth onto the back of the cutting board. This is a real wood. It's sturdy. The staples will hold really well. So I'm just stapling all around and then cutting the excess off and folding up the bottom, stapling it on, and then just to make sure that The staples are in really good. I took my hammer and hammered them in really well. I also hammered a sawtooth hanger onto the back, so this could be hung on the wall. And then to finish this up, on this drop cloth, I thought that a transfer would look so good. And I picked the one from the Seed Catalog transfer book. This is like a sepia colored roses. There is a big version of this too called the Maze Roses, but this is a miniature version of that. So I just rubbed the transfer onto the drop cloth. When you're transferring onto fabric, you do have to rub a good bit harder than onto a like a wooden surface or glass surface. But if you just keep at it, it will come off. All your transfers come with this transfer tool, and you just rub on it until your image transfers onto your project. And then be sure to take the plastic to burnish over the rest of the transfer. I put some floral in this pocket, and look how cute this is now. This may be on the website for sale, or I may be keeping it myself. I am not sure yet. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope that y'all have enjoyed the makeovers in this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know which one was your favorite. And don't forget, you can get all your crafting supplies, fusion paint, IOD, Roycycled Decoupage paper on my website, SusieOnTheFarm.com. And I can't wait to see you guys again next week.